Welcome to History Stories Dose. One story, 10 parts. Subscribe now.
Look at this prominent red brick and the imposing clock tower. This is the Tudor court, the seat of power in early 16th century England. Ruling over this palace were King Henry VIII and Queen Catherine of Aragon, a couple that, to the public, seemed deeply devoted. This portrait shows Henry exactly as he was back then, long before his decline into paranoia. He was youthful, athletic, and optimistic, a monarch admired by allies and rivals all across Europe. But beneath the feasts and public tournaments, a strict requirement governed the monarchy. To secure his legacy, a medieval king had to produce a healthy son. Without a male heir, the line of succession becomes fragile. Powerful nobles start calculating their odds, and the kingdom runs the risk of collapsing into a bloody civil war. So when Catherine announced her first pregnancy, the entire nation exhaled. Church bells rang out, nobles threw lavish feasts, and the public prayed for the birth of a future king. But the child failed to survive. That public joy shattered, initiating a silent struggle behind the palace walls. The royal couple refused to give up, and a devastating cycle took hold. Time and again, Catherine became pregnant. The country lit up with renewed hope, only to be crushed when the babies were either stillborn or survived for just a few weeks. Every loss broke Catherine's heart, but on a political level, this recurring biological failure was a ticking time bomb threatening the survival of the Tudor dynasty. After years of heartbreak, one child finally survived, a healthy baby girl named Mary. For a brief moment, the kingdom rejoiced in the relief. Henry loved his daughter, but his public smiles hid deep disappointment. He knew the political reality of his era. England's powerful nobles were unlikely to accept a woman as their ruler. The math was now moving against them. Catherine was aging, and with every passing year, the biological odds of her successfully delivering a healthy boy plummeted. The standard worries of a monarch morphed into a constant, haunting paranoia. Henry was kept awake at night by the fear of dying without a son and leaving England to tear itself apart. Desperate for an explanation, Henry turned to religion. He started to wonder if these repeated tragedies were a form of divine punishment. His suspicions centered on a piece of family history. Before she married Henry, Catherine of Aragon had been married to Henry's late older brother, Prince Arthur. Cornered by political desperation and a queen aging out of her childbearing years, the king abandoned medical hope and sought supernatural reasons for his lack of an heir. This dual-columned scripture shows a specific Bible passage forbidding a man from marrying his brother's widow. Scrutinizing these ancient Hebrew and Latin scripts, Henry found undeniable proof of his guilt. He believed he had offended God and was cursed with no sons. That belief grew into an overwhelming obsession. Regardless of how loyal Catherine had been, he had to find a way to secure a male heir. His advisors watched his personality change. The cheerful young king who loved music and tournaments was gone, replaced by a restless, impatient, and volatile monarch. Henry's desperation had taken a tragic medical reality and warped it into a theological crime, one that, in his mind, demanded an immediate solution. At a royal court gathering, Henry was at his most desperate, intensely aware that his time was running out. It was here that he noticed a young woman, unlike anyone else at court. Anne Boleyn was intelligent, confident, and graceful. Henry believed meeting Anne was destiny. He viewed her as the woman who could break his perceived curse and finally give him the son he needed. This meeting gave Henry's theological paranoia a tangible path forward. He stopped searching for the cause of his failure and started focusing on a way out of his marriage. He had no idea what that shift would trigger. His pursuit of Anne would destroy his marriage to Catherine and fracture the nation's faith. A king's private terror over his biological legacy would eventually drive him to sever England's ties to the Pope and dismantle centuries of religious tradition.